We are honored to have Mr. Santosh George Cherian with us today. He graduated from IIT Madras in 2012, completing his MTech from the Department of Civil Engineering. He started his professional career with 9 years of working experience with L&T. He's experienced in end-to-end project planning and implementation with from scope management, activity sequencing, cost and effort estimation, MIS, risk analysis to quality management, including the adoption of new technologies for lean and faster experience of fast-track airport projects. So, without any further delay, I would like to welcome Mr. Santosh George Cherian to share his experiences and strategies in the world of construction industries with us. At the end, we'll have a short Q&A session, so please be ready with your questions. Uh, yeah, over to you.
Thanks a lot for the introduction. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really honored to be present with you guys to share my experience and you young minds. And hopefully you will be carrying a lot from here because these are something that you don't generally get in textbooks or in Google or whatsoever is there because these are purely my experience. So different people have different perceptions, and this is one of the perceptions that I will carry on and imbibe on you. So I will just share you the presentation. So you are able to see the screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So my experience is widely on airports and roads, actually, majorly on airports. So that's why you see all the airport related stuff in the screen. Okay. So here we will be looking into the strategic part actually in terms of how the industry is growing and what the industry expects as a business actually. So you will be knowing that many of the airports are expanding and many of the roads are expanding. Infrastructure altogether is expanding all over the world, not only in India, but abroad also. So there are a lot of things that is going on in the world actually. One is basic thing is the supply and demand. What the world wants or expects from construction industry and what the construction companies are equipped to deliver. So these are the context actually. So strategy of any company in this modern world is to align with the expectations of the world. What need to be constructed and what is their best core competency and things like that. So I will give you the context actually that industry growth expectations is high. There are a lot of competitors, so your pricing should be competitive. There is a limited opportunity that is available in terms of the number of competitors that is available in the market. So it is very essential to have a unique selling scheme actually. So then you are having a stringent regulations coming up in terms of safety standards and other even for the financing part. If you are engaging with World Bank and all, then the safety standards goes over the OSHA standard. So it is international financial cooperation standards, which is much stringent actually. And then the limited resources that you are having availability. So the resource of any company is limited actually. And the stringent contracts, when we go to contracts, what is written and what is implemented and what goes in international contract and what the international parties involved implements the contract is very much essential to understand before getting into something. And the business models actually like public-private partnership and other risk transfer models, especially when you come across things like public-private partnership, then it will come into build, operate, transfer model. So you have the risk of operation also. So you can't just build a stuff which is not really viable in long term. So you have to be very cautious about during the construction itself. Otherwise, you will be having a lot of problems later on in the operations. So it is basically a matching of core competency of the company and the opportunity. That is where the strategy comes. So core competency is the what the company is ready to supply or what it's competent to supply. And opportunity is the market that is available, what type of market they are going to choose. So in the left side, you can see the core competencies actually. The company, if it is resourceful, that is the number of equipments, machineries, everything is on a very higher end, then it has to choose accordingly the areas where it need to work. They may go into a massive construction mode, business where more resources can be deployed, or they used to tend to go to international locations where they can maximum utilize the resources that they are having. Because what happens in Indian market is that if you see, many of the competitors are come up actually recently in roads, basically road sector. If you see, most of the companies are of very small scale companies, which is bidding it and taking the projects. And these days, the big companies are no longer competitive in Indian markets actually. So they had gone to markets where they can establish more. So that is the strategy. That is, if they are having a lot of resource, they go to the international market if national market is not viable or competent. They are not competent to compete in the national market then. So that's how you see FCONs, JMC, and all those people has gone to African market because they are more resourceful, and they have a good risk mitigating capacity by choosing specific projects which is funded by Indian banks, or something that can be of having an Indian component associated with it, where they are having a better control. So they choose when they are resourceful and they are having a competency to go there and manage situations, then they go to this strategy. That's what I meant actually. So then comes the contract management. If you are very strong at contracts and doing this, then you will be going into maybe an international market is a suitable option actually, apart from the national market. So and you will be able to do good, especially when unique engineering type of facilities comes. Also the contract management and design based companies do well actually. You take the example of L&T. L&T generally has the tendency to bid for projects which are unique in nature, very unique in nature, so that competitors cannot compete with them, because they do the value engineering process at the bidding stage itself. So that is one of the core competency they are having, and they utilize it to bid such projects and manage it properly. In the same way, this quality and HSES based how they are having experience in international markets, that will help in buying in international projects, or where you are having a financial financing that is associated with international. I was talking about the World Bank funding for the projects, like international financial cooperation guidelines. If they have to follow, then you should have a strong HSES system. HSES is health, safety, environment, and social management systems in place. So this is a very important component when you go for an international financiers that is involved in the projects. So companies generally, if they are not competent in this part but resourceful, still they go to doing such projects by engaging with the third-party consultant who can do this component and for them, and that is a main risk management measure that they generally do. And the project management based companies like to be means when you are having a PMC, which is the international PMC that you have to tackle, then you should have a good project management base. If you don't have, you hire or engage some other party. So that's how it is being driven actually. Like technology and automation based companies, do a lot of unique engineering or large interface managements type of projects, so that they are better equipped to handle such bigger interfaces. Then operation and maintenance based is of a long-term basis. Actually, the people who are not just dealing with the construction part may not be very good at operation and management things. Like in case of Adani, if you see, the operation and management part is very strong for them, while the construction may not be that good, but operation management, they are good. So that makes the difference. The competitiveness of any company or the strategy of any company is aligned to that. So they tend to bid projects with such strategies of matching their core competency with what is the available options. That's what is the shortlisting of the options. Now coming to the various applications, like now these days we are having the digitalization, integration, and automation. So these are the very big booming things that is coming in the market. There is an important strategy call that has taken by some of the Indian companies as well as in the international markets also. Are you aware of the 3D machine control systems? Anyone is aware of 3D machine control systems? So this 3D machine control systems works with the DGPS, that is differential GPS systems. So this helps in having a better control on the road works being executed, and it will have a you are having operators, and operator dependency is very much reduced. Fuel economy is very high, and you are having a lot of productivity that you will be getting out of this. Around the 2 times you will be able to get the productivity as compared to the normal manual graders or operations. While in excavators, you have a precise cutting that need to be done. All the FRLs you can load in the system and do the cutting. So it is more or less going towards autonomous thing, and maybe in future you may be able to even see unmanned equipments also, the way in which the automation is driving in the industry. So then you are having automated progress reporting and quantification systems that is available these days. So this is associated with this DGPS only. DGPS systems can help in quantifying also, considering that they take the levels automatically along with the machinery once they do the grading or excavation at that particular point. So you will be able to get a daily reporting from those things, and you will be having it quantified. So you get the data from here. So anybody has some questions about this particular thing, they can right away tell, so we can discuss. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, you're audible. In case they post something in the chats, I'll let you know.
Okay. So in between, I has a feeling that I am the only person who is talking, so that's why I was just.
Right. Yeah, guys, you can answer in the chats if you want, or you can just turn on your mics and speak.
Okay. So I will just move ahead then. So there's no questions. So the data is getting collected at the various places actually. So earlier what happens is that there is no integration actually. All the data are getting connected or reported in a standalone basis to the concerned person. So now we have this integration systems that is in place. So now you are having a set of data that is available from the field, that is through grader, there's whatever machineries, paver or whatsoever machineries that is working is doing the work. They are reporting themselves rather than reporting to some site personnel and then coming and having a more time taking. It will be more time taking that the site person doesn't report it properly to the management and all those things. So now the machinery itself reports its progress, what it has done today. Okay, so and how much fuel it has consumed, what how much hours of running it has done, the productivity, everything is coming automatically now. That is the automation, the wonderful tool. So now the what you had received at site comes through the Weighbridge. You get all the receipt details or dispatch details when you send something outside the stock location. Everything gets captured in the Weighbridge. So you are having another data generation point here. Then you are having a hot mix plant, which is generating the hot mix production unit, that is the asphalt production. So you are having some details that is coming here, and this is also generating a data. And there is the batching plant also, it generates data. So all these quantities, that is what is being produced, is directly going to the SAP system now. It is all integrated now to the SAP system. So the SAP system directly takes in the values. So earlier, this kind of thought process was not there, or was not getting developed. Everything was standalone. Now people are thinking more about it. Now integration is coming into picture, so that the manual intervention can be reduced to maximum extent. You can have a real-time data to understand what is the scenario, and even the person who is sitting in the HO or other offices can easily understand and control. Then there is a more accuracy and more efficiency. There is a automated root cause analysis and alerts. That is what the Power BI comes into picture. Power BI and Splunk. There are a lot of these types of dashboards that you can get in the market, which help in analyzing the reports from SAP and give a proper this thing. And even the BIM models, like the design models, is also integrated with SAP. So you will get directly the scope quantity from here. So it is like you will be getting the what is executed at site in the SAP, as well as what was the design quantity. So at any point of time, your reconciliation automatically happens. What was designed for and what you did. Okay, so it is an automatic reconciliation system, basically, with the integration part and the automation of all these things has done, resulted in this. And again, you are having automation in the data analytic parts, that it draws data from SAP and do a dashboard. So that's how these days things are working. But people are what system I am talking about is actually implemented in certain in-house ERP systems, not exactly the SAP. SAP maybe it may take time, maybe, but there are ERP systems other than SAP that is available in the market and maybe launched also in the market soon. So those systems are coming up, and that will revolutionize construction industry a lot. And here comes the various construction methods. So now earlier we were talking about automation, digitalization, integration, and automation. So that is one of the strategies that some technologically innovative companies do to penetrate to a market, which is majorly dealing with a lot of complex scenarios. So they can invest more time in data analytics and more on understanding the root problems and addressing it, rather than spending time in getting the data. Okay, so that is a very important part when you are having multiple interfaces and all. So this here the strategy comes with the construction methods. This type of methods, construction methods, we use when the volume of the works is very high, and specific type of machinery need to be equipment need to be chosen to increase the output or reduce the cost, kind of thing. So if you see it decreases cost, increases output, and avoid rework. So this all things are related with the loosening of rock or laterites. Okay, so when you are having a very hard strata, then you go for the blasting, which purely depends on the various values like hardness values or this compressive strength value of the material. So based on that, you choose the machineries or the procedure to do the loosening. Like you are having a surface miner, it is a drum type of milling machine kind of thing that is being used for crushing the earth. And this is the ripper dozer that we use for loosening the earth. Loosening means it is very hard strata, like even for iron ore type materials also you can use it. Both the things, these things works actually. If it is not so hard, then you can go for very high capacity excavators also, like this. So these are all very heavy machineries that we use generally for mining, but definitely the learnings of mining industry can well be applied to construction industry also when the volumes are big. So I happen to do a airport project where it is around 2.6 crores of excavation, actually 2.6 crore cubic meters of excavation. Okay, it is as good as a mining project. So we adopted the techniques that is being used in mining. So that's why you are able to see such mining equipments in my project. So these are the various attachments that we use generally for various machineries. That like excavator, you will be having the excavator bucket. These are all excavator buckets, but of different, as per the design, we design it actually. So as to suit our requirement and reduce the wastage and increase the outputs and avoid rework. So these are the few things, very simple things that we generally adopt. Once it is adopted, your life will be very easy. And this is the slope compactor actually. In case of high embankments where slope need to be compacted, then you use the vibratory soil compactor attachment to the excavator, generally attached to the breaker line, breaker hydraulic line of the excavator. So that's how we do it to optimize or reduce the cost with these attachments. Then we are having certain innovative methods that we deploy to reduce labor intensive nature of the work, and especially the skilled manpower has reduced drastically with the COVID and other issues. So it's when it comes to the labor part, it is always a challenge to mobilize the labor and get the work executed. So we are having certain things that can automate the conventional processes, and which is largely labor intensive, and make it automated, which makes it highly productive and less reworks. Like this is a simple shuttering system that is developed in Spain actually. In fact, it's called Alcina shutters. It is more like a seasoned plywood with different types of holding arrangements. So it doesn't require a lot of labor actually, and it is self-aligning kind of shutters, and it really helps the work to move very easily actually. So you don't require any skilled manpower, and the number of workforce reduces drastically. And this is an example of an underpass that is currently in Bangalore airport. So over this, the aircraft today runs over this underpass actually. And it is in itself was a challenge, and it had some tower cranes also to do the entire underpass works. There's a automated turfing systems actually, like in airports and all, you are having a very large, huge areas of grass turf that need to be done. If any airport you go, then the entire area will be covered with grass, basically. So that grass also very specific grass you have to use. It should not attract birds, because birds is a hazard for airports. And it should not help in thriving some small any food related things. It should not hold. So there are specific species that need to be used in airports. So that specific species we need to do in a very large area, like 36 lakh square meters of area. It is very huge. So that need to be done in a very small span of time, because in airports and all, you hardly get any much time for doing this activity. Because these days airports are being developed in two years time, and which is very short, and you will be ending up doing the grading, and you cannot leave it like that, because otherwise aircraft propeller will just suck the soil particles into its propeller and damage. So you have to cover it with grass or some other solutions are like polyacrylamide solutions are available, but grass is the most preferable one. And it looks good also, environmental friendly also. So this is what is called hydroseeding. Hydroseeding is a mechanized form of doing the grass. It is just like pumping the seeds with mulch and tackifiers to do the grass. Especially in if it is slope is very steep, then you will be having a lot of safety harness and other things that need to be done, and a lot of manpower will be required. But this will really make your life simple, and you will be having a lesser labors required, and very highly productive and less reworks. So these are the very simple things that need to be done in order to make your life very easy. And it's a very strategic call that you have to take when you go into that position. And being an entrepreneur, you will be able, being in IITN, you will always be like an entrepreneurs, forthcoming entrepreneurs, and you can propose and suggest and implement these things wherever is you are working. Now coming to the innovative packaging and transport solutions. This is another strategy that we use for the reducing the cost in transportation part. Transportation is one of the major part in cost point of view. So how you reduce it, it really matters. So this is a barge for moving of materials actually. So wherever water transport is available, use barge systems to move it. And where roads are not in good condition also you use it. And this like bitumen and all in European countries and all we use tanker actually. Bitumen tankers are the bitumen ship tankers. So bitumen comes in ships, and it gets directly loaded into these containers, pumped into these containers. From these containers, then it is unloaded directly to the oil mix plant. There is a lot of wastage reduction in this process, and your transportation cost cuts down drastically actually. So it's very highly recommended to have this bitumen containers and shipping arrangements, especially when you are doing import of bitumen for specific purposes. And there are specific people dealing with this. Although the shipping vessels or shipping bitumen through this kind of containers are very few, but it is really a cost reducing measure actually. And this is another flexi tank option that is available for emulsions generally that you get from European countries. And so these are the strategies that we use in project level, and to get the project more economical and use it. These are all innovations that has been implemented in various projects and can be adopted in future also. And coming to the performance standard, when we talk about companies which is dealing with a long-term basis like public-private partnership and all those things, and they are having a design life and they don't want any trouble, they used to have this kind of model to have a bigger performance of their structures, like concrete structures that is involved in the project. They want to ensure that it is performing for the intended design life. So the concrete mix need to be having a concrete performance test being conducted, and your asphalt mix also need to have a performance test conducted, so that you can achieve the desired design life of the mix or the final output that you are going to do. So it will get assured with this. Like this is a RCPT test apparatus, oxygen permeability, chloride conductivity, and the German water permeability test apparatus that is generally used for concrete performance test. While you are having a high modulus asphalt mix design, generally French standard that is adopted. So this is the Garrett compactor, the Durex method of water sensitivity test, then wheel tracking, the stiffness test, and the fatigue test that we generally use for the asphalt mix designs. It's a lesser life cycle cost, and you are when you have this type of facilities, you penetrate into international markets. Especially the French people very much like the performance standards. It will be very easy to penetrate in such markets when you are having this. So the strategic project management is mainly dealing with more on strategies actually, how to deal with the strategies for the project and to reduce the risk, because when we bid, where there will be aggressive bidding strategies that is there, especially in Indian market scenario. Always the bidding strategies are very aggressive because the competitors are more, so the risks are high when you start the project. So you have to mitigate the risk. There will be conflicting interest between the stakeholders. You have to align the stakeholders to a common objective and get it done. So that is a major thing that is related with strategic project management. So one of the examples I will show, this is one of the very high earth moving projects. I was telling about 2.6 crore cubic meters of earthwork was involved. So it is a tabletop airport. So here the issue was that you are having a trial landing that need to be done, and mm, things are not very favorable in that location. So you need to do it, but you have to align your goals with other stakeholders to get it done. So you do this do these things so that to expedite the work, as well as you are having a better cash flow in terms of when you get into asphalt works. The level of effort that you will be putting and the output that you will be getting will be very high in terms of cash flow. So that those things need to be aligned. So that is one good thing that we used to do as a strategic management, to align our goals with what is there with the client or other stakeholders, so that everyone goes in line with the expectations. So this is one of the examples. So wherein we did a priority filling, because you are having a very big volume of earthwork that need to be done. You can't wait for the entire filling platform to be filled and then doing the landing. So this is one of the things where the trial landing was done. And the filling being done in priority zones underneath the runway, and then later on it was done. So the runway being made for a different uh, based on the safety nature of the civilian aircrafts. So we need to do this much width of the platform actually, then only landing can be done. But for the trial landing, we had landed a smaller aircraft. For that, that much platform was not required. That was the concept actually. So this is the runway cutting zone actually. So runway cutting zone also similar strategy was made, and this is how the runway was made and the landing was done. So these are unique strategies that is being done on a project level in terms of risk mitigation and aligning your objective with the stakeholders to get it success. So this is another example wherein a reinforced soil fill design was done. The reinforced soil fill or soil slope fill, it is around 74-meter high reinforced soil fill, one of the highest in India actually. So this was done actually in that area, and it was a challenge. So how we had given it to the back-to-back risk mitigation was done actually, and the risk was transferred to our contractor, because see soil fill need to be done with geogrids or paralinks actually. Paralinks, that is high capacity geogrids actually. So that is being used in the this type of fill. So as usual, McAfee, we have to depend to get the materials. So transfer the entire risk to them by giving that entire metal part and supervision to them, so that they will have the risk of the risk and taking the responsibility of the entire field. So that was the idea, and then we engaged a contractor also to get it done at much economical rates. That's how we do a risk transfer mechanism to mitigate the risk. That is one of the strategies that we use. Similarly, for the explosives, very huge quantity of 2.6 crore cubic meters, around 50,000-60,000 cubic meters of earth need to be excavated through the explosives hard strata. So around 1,000 metric ton of explosives were used, around 8 metric ton of explosive per day we were consuming. So in order to get those things, there was a lot of restriction, basically in a very politically sensitive and highly sensitive part of the state. So we had a challenge, and then we could source, because individually, if I tell to my subcontractors, they cannot do it. So that is a strategic call that we take to get explosives from the particular vendor and get it issued to the contractors and do the recoveries or whatever. Is there is a cost control mechanism, as well as the risk. The person who can take the risk need to take the risk and get it done. That is the best thing about the risk management mechanism that we are having. So there is another scope of improvement from airports point of view is the indigenization. That is because if you see any airports, if you see all the lights are imported, in fact. And hardly some lights are being manufactured in India, which is generally not being used in many of the international airports. So very few competitors are there in this market, and it is a lucrative thing to people to venture into if they are very confident on entrepreneurship, to go into this business, considering that a lot of airports are coming up, and many of people has made fortunes in this, in fact. In India, if you see, hardly anyone is there in this airport line for the installation works and supply of these materials. Like AMA is there, or your Honeywell is there. So AMA generally with ADB Safegate, and Honeywell with some other contractors they used to do. But there is a lot of competition yet to come in this sector, actually, in fact, as compared to the roads. There is the frangible post that is there. Here also the manufacturers that is available in India are very less, and many of the international airports doesn't recognize them. So definitely these all things gets imported from Britain or from other countries. So basically it is supposed to get have a certification from Federal Aviation or our Indian DGCA for getting it installed. These are the frangible HUDs, actually. So these are all frangible structures that when a flight hits, it automatically breaks into pieces and gives away for the aircraft to move. So these are the things which can be innovated and indigenized in India, and will help a lot in the airport sector. And this is a very simple lift assist manhole cover. These are also not available in India. It's being imported from France or from America. And yeah, France or America only we'll be able to get maybe in return. And this is the EMAS, is the engineered material arrestor system for tabletop airports, where you need to, the incidents of Mangalore Airport or Calicut Airport where the flight just slipped down the tabletop. So that kind of situations, this will be is a very effective method to do it, especially when you don't have a sufficient length that is available in the graded strip outside the runway zone, what is called as a runway extended safe area, RISA. So there you have this type of platform, then it will help in arresting the wheels of the craft and help in restrict it from falling down. And this is very simple solution, and it can be very well developed with concrete, actually, lightweight concrete and stuffs like that. But it is yet to be even considered by DGCA. There are a lot of restrictions of this thing that need to be really looked into, and hope it will help in long run. These are the fuse balls that is being used in some of the high mast, where the aircraft touches it, it has to break and release the thing. And there are some other connections also, electrical connections also like that. So that all these things are designed for whenever aircraft hits it, it has to fall down. So that kind of things are available, and is yet to be indigenized in India.
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt. Now we have some questions in the chat. So
Okay.
Yeah. I'll just say.
I will conclude it and then start.
Okay, great. That would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every organization has a unique and dynamic strategy to stay in business. So that's what we had seen. And every project has its unique strategy to make it successful. And there's a dynamic business environment that nurtures innovativeness, lot of scope for indigenization, and lot of scope for entrepreneurs in industry for bringing in change and outstanding thought process. So I am thinking that you will all go to back to IIT and do the foundation for your entrepreneurial ventures in the coming future with this mm, uh, with with the kind of window that I has given you.
Yeah.
Okay, coming to the questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful presentation. Yeah, so I hope this inspires all of my fellow students in joining civil core companies. So now it's time for the question and answer session. Uh, so the stage is open for you guys. You can either unmute or you can put it in the chats, whichever way. So we already have one question. I'll just say. So it's directed to you, sir. Being
Okay.
an expert in construction planning and management, what advice would you give to the fresh startups who are working in the field of digitization and construction, and about how to pitch their softwares and products among the construction giants looking to enter the market?
Actually speaking, the construction industry that we are having in India is highly unorganized. In fact, even though it is organized, seeming to be organized, but it's still a lot of systems and things are yet to develop in the industry. Basically, many things that has been evolved by various companies, they were blindly following. Actually, in fact, they are not developed anything new, but they were evolving actually from what was existing earlier. So there are still a lot of things that being a fresh startups or entrepreneurs that you can do, in fact, which will be very outstanding from what they actually think currently, because what they had evolved is in a very different way. It all started with the earlier companies like Govern or L&T or HCC. These were the companies that were there in the construction industry from long back, and many of the systems that they had developed only more or less in that way only every companies are following. There is nothing new that they had created. Uh, and a lot of things that people can do in this is, like I was telling about the integration part and all those things, that is not actually being done by any companies. In fact, that is a L&T is trying to do it, because they are having a competency that they do develop their own ERP system. When you go to SAP systems or SAP based systems, when you want to implement some change, it is a Herculean task actually. So the people who is having an in-house ERP only have the cup of tea to do some innovation and do such integration and do things like that. Because doing anything in SAP means very cost. It is not going to be cost competitive. So so people are now coming up with the solutions. Uh, some part of the solutions, like using Power BI, they do the integration with SAP, or with Power BI, they use integration with the ERP systems of L&T, like that it is. So, so many people are coming up with different thought process, but the end-to-end thought processes are not at completely driven out in the market. You cannot get an end-to-end solution in the market as on date, a software package that can integrate all your systems and deliver an automated reporting system in which daily basis you will be getting in your mobile app or something, that this is what is being done at site and this is what you should be taking care of, and this is the abnormal fuel consumption, or this is the things that is the. So that kind of systems are yet to develop, and definitely L&T has developed many of the things, many of the apps they have developed recently, and mostly I think they will try to launch it in the market also in the near future as a separate construction software business, in fact. So those things they are thinking actually, but very few people are thinking, in fact. the kind of market that is there in India, the kind of this thing is there. There are very few people that is there in the market, and the strategy can be brought out. And it is the right time to get into that and establish yourself. I hope I had addressed the questions.
Yeah. Utkarsh, I hope this answered your question. Does anyone of you have any other question, or you can unmute and ask, or you can even put in the chat. I'll just ask the speaker. In which ways? Yeah, so I'll ask some questions from my side. What are the challenges faced by a person in your role in L&T, and how do you handle that?
See, any industry that is what we generally have the problem is we will be bundled with lot of tasks. We'll be having a lot of tasks. We have to set our own priorities, and we need to know what to leave and what not to leave. What is our priority and what is not. And if we are overburdened, we have to communicate accordingly to the people who is the so that the additional support can be met and our objectives are not compromised. That is a very big thing that is involved, especially in construction planning. Everything comes to you. In fact, you will be having more work than the real project manager. In fact, the kind of things that will come on to you. So basic is the prioritization. What you consider as important. That is the first thing that is there. So the first thing is your ISO 9001. Any ISO 9001 company will be having their own what is called as project quality plan, which drives the entire organization or anything where the responsibilities are being listed out. So especially as a personal point of view and this thing, we should always stick on to that scope actually, because we are not a Superman or somebody like that, that you will be doing everything. So you have to look onto that scope that you are defined, stick on to that. Very well, you will be able to do many other things, but you should always stick on to that and get it done. And if there is time other than that, you can very well do things out of that and do it very nicely. So that is always the
Right. So what advice do you have for the current students studying for the placements?
Yeah, actually what I suggest is that definitely a lot of opportunities is there, but and never the decision what you take currently is not going to actually matter in a long run point of view. Anytime you can have your own decision based on the parameters that you are keeping as priority. So it depends actually. So if you are actually having a strong family background or something like that, then definitely you can straight away go to entrepreneurship kind of mode, because that is the what the institute is actually designed for, to generate entrepreneurs and generate more jobs, and to be out of box thinkers to develop upon. But if it comes to any specific constraints that people used to have, and maybe people doesn't have that much courage to do the entrepreneurship at the start itself, so they go to various jobs in order to make the basic strong, or lay a strong foundation to build on. All those things is there actually, because generally in construction industry there is a lot of value to the references. That is the, you need contacts so that you can link people and market things kind of thing. So definitely if you go into some good construction companies, like especially I will recommend L&T and companies like that, who actually do a lot of innovations in fact. So it will be a good learning, and then you can work on in building a strong foundation and then innovating it. But it should not happen that when you join a company that, okay, I will, you should not forget what you were dreaming of. If you are dreaming of something, and you are doing something different later on, then it doesn't make sense. So you have to follow your dreams and get it affected actually. So you don't leave dreaming actually, and your objective or goals need to be intact. So
Right,
that's what
yeah.
I will suggest.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the question answer session, sir. So now we'll move on to the CA theme and website launch. Right. So yeah. Now let's launch the CA theme for the year 2021-22. And so we had taken some theme suggestions from our own civil engineering students and selected one amongst those as the CA theme of the year, which is technologically coupled sustainability. So this theme, technological coupled sustainability, is given by Mr. R. Vineet of C21 MTech. Yeah. So I'll just give a short intro on the theme. So sustainable development is an urgent demand of the society. The civil engineering domain has significant impacts on the environment. Indeed, it is reported in numerous studies that civil engineering is responsible for several important problems such as energy consumption, the CO2 emission, and the natural resource depletion. Alternative solutions have been researched in the last decades to reduce environmental impacts in the civil engineering sector. So different approaches were proposed, and reducing the energy consumption by using low embodied energy materials, which are eco materials, and developing the energy efficient buildings with high thermal isolation, renewable energy integrations, or by using eco architecture principles to optimize the energy consumption of the buildings. So yeah, it is a really exciting theme. Now I'll share the feedback form. So I've shared the feedback form in the chat. So I'll tell you the procedure for after which the website will be launched. So all of you will have to fill in this form. I'll just give a demo. So you can fill in your feedback. You can say it's wonderful. Right. And after you submitted it, so yeah, you can start your submissions right now. Is it visible? Yeah. So we'll need more unparalleled responses, guys. What are we waiting for? Fill in your feedback forms. Yeah, these are very nice reviews. Excellent, amazing. Looking forward. All of you, please do participate and fill in the responses. Right, so I guess the limit has reached. So I'll present a site now. Right. So this is the homepage of our Students IITM CA Association. This is about us and basic info on our team. Our HOD, Dr. Manu Santham, and our conveners. This is the team Nirman. This is the events team. This is the DNSR team. This is the FR team. Then is the sponsorship and PR team. The DNC team. The finance team and the QMS team. And finally, the WebOps team. So I'll just show you the events. Yeah. So the events which we had last year. So this was the inaugural and Freshie Night, the CA Freshie Night. Great. So yeah. Now I'll yield the floor to my colleague Arun Teja. Arun, the floor is all yours now.
Yeah, thanks, Athav. That was great. Now here is the exciting news for you all. After a very well received season 1, CA is now back with season 2 of 180 research at CE IITM. But that's not it. There is something more in store for you. To find out that, let's have a look at the 180 second introduction video for 180 research season 2. I would request the records to present the video.
Hello everyone, hope you and your family are doing well. Civil Engineering Association of IIT Madras is back with the most awaited second season of 180 Research at CE IIT. It was started last year in 2020 with an initiative to appreciate the research scholars who we believe are truly dedicated to their field and are also motivated to convey their passion for their field and explain to everyone how research helps the world progress. Well, before getting into the details, assume you have a friend who is not from civil engineering but from some other field. When he asks you what your research is about, you will try to explain it to your friend in simple terms so that he or she can understand what you're working on, right? That's exactly what you're going to do here too.
Now, to give you more details, as you're working on a project trying to achieve something, all you have to do here is explain that in a flash video at 180 Research at the CE IITM. Now the challenge is, you should do that in exactly 3 minutes, to be precise 180 seconds, not even a second more, to avoid any jargon. And this season, we are making a few significant changes. First, the major change is 180 Research is no more an event. It's a competition now, a research competition. It's exciting, right? Well, the news does not end here. And the second thing is, we are launching a website exclusively for 180 Research so that you can register yourself and submit your final presentation video on the website itself.
Since it is a competition now, obviously your submissions will be judged. The judging will be based on 3 criteria. First, how well you describe the background, the methodology and the impact of your research. Second, you should not use any jargon in the presentation, as the event's idea in the first place is that it should be understandable for a non-specialist audience. Third, how well defined your slides, models, presentations, animations you use in the video are. And also, it should be a single short video. It may take few iterations, but don't give up. Well, everything is fine, but why you should participate in this competition? Here are the reasons. First of all, 180 Research serves as a great platform to present your work. Second, it gives more reach to your research. Third, a short and a crisp version of your research in your own words. Also, this is an opportunity to motivate young civil engineering minds to take up research. And also, a prize money for winners and a token of appreciation for every participant is also given, and much more. Hence, we request you to take this competition as an opportunity to proudly present your research work to everyone. We eagerly look forward to seeing your 180 research video very soon. Thank you.
Well, that was a great video. Now, CA has come up with the new dynamic website for 180 Research Season 2. Research scholars can participate in the season by registering on the website itself. Now, 180 Research website will be launched. Guys, this is the 180 Research at CE IITM website. In the home page, you will be provided with some of the participants who have participated last year, that is in season 1, and their research works. And at last, you will also be like, as you can see, Adarsh Tiwari and all. And at last, you can also see the details of our course, that is Surya and B. Chandana. And coming to the about section, it gives us a glimpse of the main motive behind the initiation of 180 Research, where the research, where basically it tells us about the main motive behind this initiation. And next, like we are also provided with a seasons panel, where season 1 is related to all the research works that were described last year. Yeah, basically the season 1, here you can see the performance of the previous year candidates, and to remind you guys, all the videos are 180 seconds. And coming to the next section, that is panel of judges, and here you can see the well-experienced professors of IIT Madras. These are the professors, the 10 judges of the panels. As you can see, now I'll be guiding you guys through the registration process. Basically, it's very simple and user-friendly. Now you have the registration link here, and you'll be provided a panel where you can give your name, roll number, mobile number, and all. And here, especially, you will be given the research field to choose. That is the field or sector where you are researching. And yeah, you have to choose the list of the fields given here only. And now, after you have registered through this, you'll have your own email ID, SMail ID and password. So after that, you may log into your account, just as mentioned here. I'm using a demo. I'm using a example so that you can understand it better. Now, after you log in, you will be provided this thing, as you can see in the screen. Here, you got to mention the name of your research guide, the title of the video, and the main motive behind your research work. You'll be, of course, motivated to do your research because of something that empowers you to towards the development of our country, not only world. Yeah, and now you have got to upload your video along with your photo, and then click on the submit button. After you have finished your process, you can simply log out and just move out of the website. That's how simple it is. And now, coming to the events, CA has planned a set of exciting events this year to keep you all engaged. Interesting lectures to provide an essence of civil engineering, competitions to explore your creative side, and games to revive yourself during the hectic academic schedules with exciting prizes. Definitely tune into CA Instagram handle for updates of the events conducted by us. Now I would yield the floor to my colleague Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi, the floor is all yours now.
Yeah, thank you, Arun. Okay, now just as I told, we'll first see who is the winner for our fun quiz, and yeah, the lucky winner is Mr. Sumant Reddy. Congratulations, Sumant. It was a tough fight, and everybody who participated, thank you so much for participating. Please don't lose hopes. And yes, thank you, sir. It was a highly engaging and fruitful session. I also thank our professors for making time to sit through this event. And the session was lively, it was fulfilling, and beneficial for our future ventures because of your presence. Thank you so much.